Everyone, welcome to Stuff I Never Learned from the Schoolbook. If you're looking at the bearded one, that means you found me on Thursday night. One of the special nights we talked about having on. Welcome. If you're looking at me and you already know me, welcome back. If you don't know me, my name is Tom Springer, and I am the host of Stuff I Never Learned from the Schoolbook. So, like I said, special night. It is 7 p.m. Central, 8 Eastern, 6 Mountain, 5 Pacific, 2 out in Hawaii, 6 a.m. out in Indonesia, and 9 a.m. out in Australia. Welcome, everybody who comes on the show and takes a look. Appreciate you being here. As always, I do have on a special guest. And earlier I had on one of the girls from this site known as Get Haunted, so it's time for the boys to come and play. So let's go ahead and bring on Kyle Mangus. Kyle, how you doing, brother? What's going on?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Brittany, appreciate it. Thank you very much.
What's up, Brittany?
Yeah, I'm a self-builder of everything I have here, so
it's all good.
So just so you know, I stole your background if you didn't notice.
That's cool. Yeah, I saw that. It looks good. It looks good back there.
That way you feel comfortable and at home. It matches your hat.
Yes.
So, and for those people who don't know, you can actually go find that hat out on the site.
Sure can.
We're just going to do this right now. Let's just go ahead and start throwing these up right now. All right. So Kyle is part of Get Haunted at www.gethaunted.com. And he's also, you're one of the primaries, aren't you?
I'm the vice president over there.
Yeah, vice president of White Hill Mansion at www.whitehillmansion.org. Now, here's the news. Go out, check out both of these locations. Like, follow, share, all that wonderful stuff. Get to know these wonderful people at both places. Kyle, you get to meet twice because he's at both places. So
yeah,
you got to do that twice. Again, though, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. Hi, Sandy. How are you? So I ran into you simply because there's my wife right there saying hello. So,
hello.
Simply because I started talking to the Get Haunted. I started following you guys, and I Facebook stalked Sarah Jane. Figured out who she was. She was dumb enough to say yes, she'd come on my show. So, and then while I was doing the one of these with her, you came in and you were saying hi and everything else and talking and hi Alicia, how are you? And so I was like, well, and right then she was already dogging out the guys. She was like, oh, boys versus girls, and girls are better, so blah blah blah. So I went ahead and said, look, we got to have a guy on so we balance this out and let everything happen equally, because that's just how it works.
Yeah, you have to. You have to be fair, right?
Right. And then I started following you specifically, not just Get Haunted, but you specifically, because I'm also friends with a bunch of the other people as part of the crew. And when I was going out to your site, you have a bunch of like just cool little things that you do.
Yeah.
You advertise a lot of other people just on your site alone, not just on Get Haunted. But you have like outside of advertising the Get Haunted, you advertise the White Hill Mansion. And then you like to advertise the stuff that you do, which is really cool. I like looking at the stuff because it lets me as a normal person know who you are as a normal person, not just tied to the site. Hi, Kathy. And it's really cool because it lets me into your life and kind of gives me an insight of my Facebook stalking.
Yeah.
Of how to talk, what we're going to be talking about once you come on my show. So thank you for coming on again. I greatly appreciate it.
Not a problem.
I'm happy we were able to do this, that we were able to get you on a Thursday, because I know that Mondays are a little tough.
Yeah.
But do me a favor, introduce yourself outside of what I did. Let everybody know who you are, and let them know how you got started, what brought you into investigating, what brought you into the White Hill Mansion, all that wonderful stuff. So,
All right. Yeah, that's easy. That's the fun part. Like Tom said, everyone, my name's Kyle Mangus. I'm a paranormal investigator. I'm a member of Get Haunted, and I'm also the vice president of the Friends of White Hill Mansion, which is a nonprofit historical location located in Fieldsboro, New Jersey. We're dedicated to preserving the history of this awesome mansion, and keeping it open so people can come see the history, come experience the paranormal, and just kind of just check it out. So, um, how I got into the paranormal. So that's really interesting. So I always was interested in the paranormal, but never took it serious. I watched the shows and whatnot. And the White Hill Mansion is really close to my hometown, and I've got a lot of family history in the local area that goes back way back, even to the Revolutionary War. So I was always a lover of history.
right.
That's what I liked when I watched the paranormal shows. I like the beginning when they tell you about the history of the locations. Like the paranormal part was cool too, but that's what really drove me. So I stumbled upon the White Hill Mansion one day, and I was like, I need to go help and save this place. The history just intrigued me. So I went over, got involved, started volunteering there, started doing history tours. And like I said, like I knew it was haunted or supposedly
Right.
haunted. I didn't care. My main goal was to help save the history. Like I was deep into the history. And when I started there, I would have weird experiences, and I'm super skeptical.
Right. You
So
gotta
I
be.
would,
You gotta
I would
be.
be, I was like, you know what? Yeah, I know it's haunted, but maybe it's just, my eyes playing tricks on me, or I'm hearing things. But the activity kind of increased when I got there. I don't know why. Even people that were there much longer than me were like, wow, this place is getting a little more active. So,
Mm.
I kind of, in a way, I guess, fought some of the activity. Like I was like, no, it's not. That's not real. Like, no. So one day, probably about, God, it's probably been about 2 years now. I've been there for about five. Um, about a year and a half to 2 years in, it was during the day. I was doing a history tour. Everyone left. I had to go back in and lock down the house. So I went to the second floor and went into one of the small bedrooms, shut a window. And when I came out in the hallway, there was a little boy just staring at me, and he was so real. And we locked eyes. He looked right at me, and then he disappeared right in front of me. And that's when I was like, okay, I can't fight it anymore. This is it. And that kind of, through White Hill, being there for a bunch of events, experiencing my own stuff, it got me questioning, like, okay, why do some people experience more things than others? Like, why did I see this little boy?
Right.
So that kind of got me the ball rolling in the paranormal. I started investigating. I bounced around with couple different groups. Then I found Rob and Sarah at Get Haunted. I really liked what Get Haunted stands for.
Yeah.
Um, my biggest thing is I love how Get Haunted helps support all these historical locations, because like White Hill, we're 100% volunteer based, like I said. So everything we raise goes right back into it. And historical preservation is not cheap, and the funding is not as prominent as people think.
Right.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
So that was a big reason of why I started with Get Haunted, because I love that aspect of it. I also love the aspect that they're trying to help the community, bring people into the paranormal, give everyone a shot to get out there and experience the things that I've experienced. And
Yeah.
that's one of my favorite parts of doing events, even at White Hill, seeing people come through that may be skeptical like I was. And that's perfectly fine, because I'm even still skeptical as an investigator.
Yeah.
And I like when they have that moment where they're starting to think like, okay, I can't really explain that, but now it's piqued my interest, and it gets them excited about history, gets them excited about the paranormal, and I just love it.
Yeah. Yeah. Rosie put out there, I wonder if it's something from a past life or something that was calling you there.
Well, it's interesting that Rosie brought that up, because I do have a lot of family history in that area. And believe it or not, I had a great grandfather who was the mayor of Fieldsboro. back in the 30s. I've had family in Fieldsboro for probably go back 100 years or so.
Yeah.
And then my family used to work there when it was a restaurant. Like my
Okay.
grandparents and my dad used to be a busboy. So I do have some history there. Um, I don't know if there's any history way back when with me there. It's very possible. But yeah, that's a great question.
Yeah. Yeah. And that may be what, I mean,
Hmm.
outside of the just your family ties, maybe there's something more to it. Maybe that's why
True.
maybe that's why the boy showed up to you. Maybe that boy knows who you are already.
It's
You
it's
know?
very it's
So,
very possible, and it's very interesting with the boy spirit there. He's only been seen a few times,
mhm.
very few times, but every time somebody sees him, there's something. He looks very specific that I don't really tell the general public until somebody comes, because it's something that's so like when you see him, you see him. So
Yeah.
it's kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have that page open right now, as a matter of fact, for the White Hill Mansion we're talking about. And I was talking to you beforehand that it's not. So you actually do a tour of the mansion. You introduce the people to the history of it, and if you go out to the whitehillmansion.org page, there's an events listing, and it's not just like hauntings.
Exactly.
There's history that goes along with it, that you take them around. You do a history tour, but not only that, they do stuff like I said. They also have something coming up Saturday, September 2nd at 10, which is for yoga.
Yeah.
So it's used for other things than just those two items. It's used throughout, so other people can experience it in their own different ways. Now, by using it in one way, they may get introduced to it another way.
Exactly.
But that's a good way just to get. And for anyone who's curious or who does not know, White Hill Mansion is actually in New Jersey, Fieldsboro, right? Is that what you
Yep.
said?
Yep.
Fieldsboro.
Located in Fieldsboro, New Jersey.
So you said about a population of 300. So don't blink.
Yes, it's a very small borough. It's one of the smallest in New Jersey.
Yeah,
For anyone out there, it's about 20 minutes from Trenton, New Jersey, the capital. So
oh,
pretty
okay.
much right in the center,
Yeah.
kind of close to the Pennsylvania border. It's right on the Delaware River. You can actually stand in the second story of the house and look over the river and see Pennsylvania.
Oh, very nice.
So
Yeah. So if you want to go out to this page like I did, they have what's called a History Day, and you guys have a couple of pictures out there, and you talk about your second Living History Day. It's in March,
yep.
but your weather is holding off for you. It seems you're being blessed on those.
Yeah.
Days.
Yeah, we lucked out. We try not to just focus on the paranormal. The paranormal
Right.
is a big portion of this because, I mean, without the paranormal community, a lot of our funding, I mean, we wouldn't be anywhere right now in the process of restoring it or anything without the paranormal community. They support us immensely. But we also do things with the history because White Hill, our slogan is where history and the paranormal mingle. Because I
Sure.
think
Yeah.
any good investigator, you have to know at least some of the history going in to understand maybe potentially some of the hauntings.
Right.
So we try to give a taste of everything. And you know what? If I get people in there for the paranormal and I tell them the history before they start their investigation, they're usually blown away. Even if they just come to look for ghosts, they're like, oh my God, this history is amazing. So for me, it goes hand in hand. If I can get them in for the history, tell them the paranormal, great, and vice versa. I mean, it's
Right.
a win-win for historical preservation, in my
And I
opinion.
was going to ask you that question. That's a perfect segue into there because when I click on the third tab on here, it's the history of White Hill Mansion. There's pictures in here of like Robert Field II, the patriarch of White Hill, Joseph Mayer, a whole bunch of different, and then there's like a whole bunch of information. This is perfect because you're giving them the history, and if anyone's interested in the paranormal, these are the people they probably try to tie into and ask questions to and talk to and see if they're
Exactly.
still around.
Yep.
So it's a perfect segue into that when you're
Yeah.
doing the history and someone's like, "Oh, you do paranormal? I'm interested in that too."
Yep.
And you're like, "I want to talk to these people."
Yes.
Oh, when someone does that, when anyone does that, and they show up either for a private or a public, you guys will call them private or public haunts,
Yeah.
because they're investigations, basically what they are. They're either guided public or they're private that you can rent out. Um, do they get any responses, or are there more responses from the people that you have listed in the history than there are from others?
So it's a loaded question because White Hill's been there for over 300 years.
Right.
And before there was any European settlers there, before there's a house there, we had 2 archaeological digs, and they discovered that that was Native American land. So probably it was Native American land thousands of years before there were any European settlers. So there's always been some kind of habitation, some kind of activity on the White Hill Mansion
Right.
grounds. So the activity is, people always ask us like, who's haunting it? And I'm like, listen, I don't know. I think it changes. It changes all the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes you could be investigating and you're talking, you think you're kind of talking to or encountering somebody from the 1700s, but then you go up to the next floor and you're encountering someone totally different. So it's a really cool location because the history, as you go through the house, you can see it too. It's like an onion. So like, you're like, okay, cool. I can see where the colonial house would be, but then over here it's the 1800s, and then over here it's the 1970s. So it's a really interesting place.
So yeah, and Brittany says it depends on if you're there at the time or not.
That's
So-
true. People do say when I'm there, there's different reactions in the hauntings.
So let's go through some of the standard questions. Is there any place in there that you're just like, man, this has a bad feel to it?
So White Hill's a really great location to investigate because it's not an oppressive location. There's a couple spots where it can be more intense than others, but it's not one of those places like you're like, I have to get out of here. I'm running out of here. The one place that makes me uneasy at times, I guess you could say, and I've had the most weird paranormal encounters would be up in the attic.
Okay.
So the 3rd floor attic, and it seems like, at least for me, the later it gets at night, just the weirder the activity.
Yeah.
I've seen some crazy shadow people up there. Like the way they move, it's so realistic. It's like there's an actual person in there. And other people have seen it too. And it seems like as the night goes on, I don't know. It gets weird, if that makes any sense. The activity just gets weird.
There's a different vibe between day and night. We have
Yes.
a place over here by us that does the same thing. I'm over here by Malvern Manor, and if you go through it during the daytime, you'll get stuff, but it's not that late. But at night, you're like, I'm not walking down this hallway by myself.
But even up in the attic at White Hill, it's the same, kind of all over the house. Like there's hot spots, obviously, like any location, but it's one of those locations where you can pretty much get any kind of activity at any time. And like there's been times where we've encountered what we think are children up in the attic.
Yeah.
Some people encounter women because we will encounter men, and then you have these shadow figure things going on too. So it's like you really never know what you're going to get. It's always changing. And like every time I think I got it figured out, like I'll take a group in there that's doing a private, and I'll be like, listen, this is what I usually do, and it gets good results. I don't know if it'll work, but I usually just sit up here in the attic, no equipment, and stuff will happen. They'll try it and nothing will happen, but they'll be setting up their equipment and stuff will happen. And I'm like, well, there you go. I don't know. Just roll with it. Hey, Chad, what's up?
So Rosie wants to know, when was the last time people lived in it besides the spirits?
Okay, so the last time somebody lived there was the late 80s, early 90s. So in 1922, it became a restaurant, and from 1922 all the way up to 1992, it was a restaurant, and the families who ran the restaurant lived on the second half of the second story. They had like a little apartment set up.
Okay.
So about 1992, late 90s, I guess you could say, was the last time people actually lived there. So,
and then she's following up with, are shadow people spirits, or what are shadow people?
Oh man, this one gets debated in the paranormal community
all the time.
My theory is shadow people, and this is just my opinion, are spirits manifesting in a different form. That's just what they can manifest in. I don't know if it's a full manifestation or half manifestation, or that's all they could do, but that's what I feel like they're spirits that are manifesting.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a very loaded question, Rosie. It really depends on who I have on my show, is who you're going to get a different answer from. So we've heard Kyle's. So remember that question as we go through some people,
Yeah.
and we'll see what comes up. So let's switch gears really quick and move over to the Get Haunted page.
Let's do it.
Which are also on. So also I have, so for everyone who doesn't know, I also have the Get Haunted page open up right now as well, and that's the background I have going on. Sorry about that. Missed one. Hi, Christy. But that one, so the first one I jumped onto is your homepage, but then I went to your Rosie said she thought it would be demons or bad spirits. Never demons. Demons aren't worried about just being shadow people. If they're demons, they're going to be demon.
Yeah, I think
you'll know when a demon is around.
I think shadow people get a bad rap for the most part because they're dark and scary. But I've never encountered one. Like, yes, they've startled me, but I've never, at least at White Hill, I've never had like a threatening vibe from them. It's just like, oh, there's a shadow person, and they kind of do their own thing and move along pretty quick. Like, they don't really hang around too long. But that's just my experience.
I would agree with that. They may peek around to see you and curious, but then they're like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
So the Get Haunted page that I have open, the very first thing I go to is, of course, your homepage, blah, blah, blah. But then I go to what your second tab is, which is the Our Events.
Yes.
And the Our Events, I have to ask, because you have these certain VIP access cards and different levels, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3.
Yes.
What do those get you? What do those
You are testing me tonight, Tom.
I am. I told you.
There is so much information on Get Haunted. Get Haunted, we're paranormal events and service company right off the hop. Like, we do events, we go to locations, we get you out there, we get you involved. We don't ghost hunt in front of you guys. We get you guys involved in the investigation.
You are the person coming with you is the investigator.
Yes. When we get you out there, we show you how we do it, but we get you involved in that process. We don't just ghost hunt in front of you. We do it all the time. We want you guys to do what we do and have a great time. And we want to learn from you, just like you learn from us. And that's the whole process.
Brittany says, let me know if you need to phone.
Yeah, I might. Yeah, Brittany is another member of our Get Haunted. She actually does the merchandise. So.
Oh, okay. Hey, we're talking about that next. Britt, stay close.
So we have events. We have merch. If any teams out there need merchandise, we can get you hooked up with T-shirts, any kind of merch you want. We have our own merchandise too.
We'll talk about the attachment stuff later on too. So I'm going to cover all these.
Yeah.
So
right
now I'm focused on the VIP access cards.
Oh God. All right.
So first off, let me tell people what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
It says VIP access card has the Get Haunted logo, and it says tier 1, $200. Tier 2, $300. Tier 3, $499. And it lets you become a VIP.
Yes.
So explain to them what they get for being a VIP.
I'm not looking right at it. So I do have the general idea of it, though. So the higher tiers you get more of a discount off of our merch. You get discounted events. So the higher tier you are, the more discounts you get on multiple events. And it goes down the tiers in that form. So it's a good way if you want to come out and investigate all these awesome locations we have. It's a great way to save on multiple investigations and multiple merch.
Yeah. For instance, you guys have the Shamley Hotel coming up later.
Yes.
And that's anywhere from $85 to $300, depending on what package you get there when you book it.
Yeah.
Your VIP access card may give you a discount on the price for whatever package you get.
Yeah, and some locations, the VIP access card isn't eligible for. Some of the locations are just tricky, especially the ones that are sleepover, like the Shanley.
Yeah.
But like Tom was saying, we've got a couple events upcoming. We've got on September 2nd, we've got the old hospital in College Hill.
Yeah.
That's VIP access eligible.
Yeah. That's an 8-hour event. That's an 8-hour event.
Yep. And then we have Mid-Orange, the same night as the Shanley, Mid-Orange Correctional Facility up in New York. Amazing location. Huge location. Ultra creepy. I mean, haunted prisons are always creepy, but this one is awesome.
Yeah. You got a Conjuring House coming up September 16th.
Yep.
That's and the good thing is when you go out here to look at these, just so people know, when you click on them, like I clicked on the book and it gives me a bunch of information. It doesn't just tell me, here's your price, pay for this, show up. No, this, like for instance, I clicked on the old hospital on College Hill. Gives me the address, tells me 18 years or older, 8 hours. So it actually tells you how long it is, 8 hours. It gives me the price for $129 for adults for seasoned investigators for the full duration, or $80 for adults that are going to be there for a half night.
Yeah.
So it breaks it down to let them know exactly what they're getting, and it tells you, like, it goes in to explain, this is designed and is an event suitable for all levels of experience. For those of you who don't have equipment, you're going to, they're the whole step of the way. So it's a great breakdown, and it even tells them this is not a sleepover event. This is not for children. It's for 18 and older. It gives you a breakdown of event details. It tells you what to expect. It tells you what you should bring.
Yes.
It gives you everything. It even gives you a history about it. So, also tells you what to do nearby and what the local hotels are if you're going to stay out there. So this site is not just a, hey, come out and give us your money and hope for the best. You guys break it down step by step, what everybody should expect.
Yep. And there's no surprises. We don't overload locations with guests. We try to keep the numbers small so it's more intimate. It's a solid investigation.
Yeah.
Every location's a little different with the number of people, but we don't want to overload the event, because no one likes to go to an event where there's, hundreds of people, and that's not what we do. We want to make sure that all of our guests are engaged and have a great time and have an awesome paranormal experience, hopefully.
Right. And the way you know is because it'll say it's sold out.
Exactly.
So you'll know if you can go on that one or not.
Exactly. And like you said, we try to give everyone, from seasoned paranormal investigators to people who are just like, I've never done this before, I'm not sure. We want to come make you feel like a family when you get there. There's no pressure. There's no nervousness. We'll walk you right through things.
Yep. If you want to be a little braver and you kind of want to go out and, maybe go look at something and then come back, they're like, hey, you want to go in that hallway by yourself or right here?
Yeah.
Type of stuff. So
most of our events, usually how they run is, in the beginning, we'll give you guys a breakdown of what we're going to do for the night. Half the night, you'll go with us to different hotspots. We'll break you into smaller groups. You'll work with us. We'll get you involved on an investigation with us as a group. And then the rest of the night, we let you go explore. Now, we're there to help you along the way. If you guys go out there and go, you know what, this is really cool, we're not getting anything, is there anything you can do? We'll go out there with you. We'll give you equipment. We let you borrow equipment. We want you to get out there and experience it and do it for yourself.
This is going to be a very important question for some people.
Yes.
When they borrow your equipment,
yes,
are you going to be the one later that reviews all of the material, all the recordings, the video and the audio recordings that they have taken?
Well, usually we tell people to bring their own. If they want a video, bring their own video cameras. If they want to record, bring their own recorder. We do let them use recorders, but we usually have them review it and do short burst sessions.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just didn't know if that put such a burden on you guys.
Yes.
40 hours of video.
Yeah. No, generally that's how we do it. But that is a good question, though. It is a good question.
Jason is saying, hey, you guys we were at the bash, right? Our booth was right by you guys.
Yeah, I think I remember him. Yep. Yeah. That's awesome. Yep. I was there.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, so moving on to where Brittany's expertise is, right next to that is called the Haunted Boutique. And the Haunted Boutique, when you click on that, right now is your shop.
Yep.
And you have a handful of things out there, which is really cool because you guys actually have a Black Tea Society monthly paranormal shirt club.
Yep.
And so that looks like it's a bunch of different, every month it's a different somebody.
Yep. Yeah, that's Rob, our founder.
Yeah.
He really does great designs, and that's a monthly subscription service.
Cool.
All the information's right on the website. You get a new T-shirt and a couple little goodies every month, and it's a new design, and it's kind of like a little surprise. You don't know what you're going to get until you open it up. So it's a
Yeah.
really cool thing. And you guys, everyone loves paranormal shirts.
Right.
Just
Well, speaking of, you guys actually have what I need to go out to get is your Get Haunted flag shirt.
yes.
Yes. It is a U.S. flag with your Get Haunted logo of the skull that you have on top of your hat right there. Right, right on the stripes of the flag. So very
Yeah, that
awesome.
was inspired by Rob, our founder. He's also a veteran.
Yep.
So
Yep. Yeah, I'll talk to him too because I'm a veteran myself. So we'll have to go off
yes.
talk. And you also have customized mugs, as well as white stage sticks. But I don't want them to think that this is the only thing you have or this is the only thing you can do. By the way, Kyle's saying or Justin's saying this: the Pimp Paranormal
Yes.
was right next to you guys.
Gotcha. Yep.
Brittany, I don't want to speak out of line, and Kyle can smack me through the computer if I am, but I believe that if someone is looking to find assistance with logos, T-shirts, stuff like that, you guys have the ability to hook them up to places that can assist them in doing stuff like this, right?
Yeah, we're pretty much can do anything. If you guys need banners, you guys need signs for your events, like Paracons, perfect example. We can do that. You just got to reach right out to us, either on Facebook, email Rob over at Get Haunted. Go right to the website, send over something. We'll get you all hooked up. And more of our merch is on our Facebook page, also on our Facebook shop. We got tons of stuff. And another really cool thing that we can do is we can customize paranormal equipment, K2 meters, anything you want with pretty much any logo. We can either do laser engraved.
Oh, nice.
So reach out, and that's on the website and the Facebook pages too. All that information on all of our services. I mean, it's really incredible how much Rob and the Get Haunted team, the whole crew can get. It's just amazing. Every day, there's something new popping up that we're either getting involved in or new merchandise. It's hard to keep up even with me.
I'm telling folks, go out to that site I just put up right here, Get Haunted. Oops, where'd it go? Right there. GetHaunted.com right there. You also have a Facebook site that you can get out to. If you go out to this, the links are all there. And I'm amazed because I follow you guys all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And when I follow you, I'm amazed at how many times I see a post and it's something different.
It is.
It's always something different that you guys are doing. I'm like, Jesus, I can't even keep up with you guys.
I know it's
daily. So.
It is. It's tough. It's tough. But it's a great thing. And everyone out there, check out our Facebook network group pages, because that's another big thing of what Get Haunted is about. It's bringing the network together. It's cross promoting. It's helping everyone out. Like there's too much infighting sometimes in the paranormal, and we all just need to move forward and just really work on moving the paranormal field together. Like we're all here to learn more from each other.
Right.
And the Facebook group network pages are awesome because anyone can come in there. They can ask questions like, hey, perfect example is sometimes like you're out Central Time, right? You're Midwest, right?
Yep, I am.
So sometimes people out in the Midwest investigating are doing different experiments that we on the East Coast never even thought of, or vice versa. And that's the perfect way to communicate and be like, hey, Tom, what are you doing? Are you investigating this Saturday? Let's try an experiment. Let's do something, you know? And it's the perfect way to learn from each other and just help out the whole paranormal community.
Yeah. This is, and some of the stuff that you're talking about, for instance, for those people who are kind of confused by that statement, if Kyle is out investigating somewhere and he wants to see if there's any kind of communication between one point and the other, and I'm out here, maybe there's a tie between the locations. Maybe I'm sitting on a piece of Native American land and he is too, but there's word that that's their migration. That's kind of where they went through, and we want to know if there's any common ground there, so we could be on the phones talking to each other, hook up the speakers, and see what comes through from my end to his end. Yeah. Stuff like that, is something that we could possibly do. So don't just think that you're stuck in your own little location and this is the only 4 places you can investigate. And the paranormal field, like, it's always evolving. We're learning new things, we're trying new things, and it's
that's the great part of Get Haunted. Like,
Yeah.
we're trying to encompass everything. We want to include everyone. We want to work together. It's just a great thing. Help historical locations. It's
Yep.
just a great organization.
And that's what's really cool about your great segue, by the way. Again, under the Get Haunted page, now I am in the entity, which is who are you? Who is Get Haunted? And in here, I told you guys, I Facebook stalked the hell out of y'all. Because in here, you guys use words like network and community and collaborate and stuff like this. So it's not just who are we, who are we, who are we. It's who are we and how can we help you?
Exactly. How can we help each other? How can
Exactly.
we push this paranormal field to the next level?
Yep. And one of your lines in here for those people who are listening to this now or are going to listening to this later on in the week or later on in the month, whenever they get around to hearing this, one line that in here is very important to me, and it says, a place for new people and seasoned veterans alike. So this is a place, ladies and gentlemen, right here on Get Haunted, where you can go out to and you can ask questions if you're new. You do not have to be hey, I've been doing this for 13 years. I came across this, blah, blah. No, you can ask if you're new. I asked, I think I drove Sarah Jane nuts the first couple of times because I was asking her so many questions. But yeah, so it was just, it's a good overall informational community that you all are building.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic.
It like you said, it truly is a community. It's a network. Right. Like it's building something that's going to last the test of time and really help the paranormal field. Just push it through. Just help everyone getting together. Because how many times did a small paranormal team, right? You started out in a small team. It's hard to even, it's hard to get into. It's hard to get going. It's hard to know what to do and who do you go ask.
Yeah.
Right. This is the perfect thing for the network. You go in there like, hey, I just started up a paranormal team. I've only gotten 2 investigation in. Like, give me some tips. Give me some help. And that's what Get Haunted's about.
Yeah, and that's exactly how we're doing. I mean, it's just my wife and I are the only 2 on our team. And guess what we do? We look to team up with other teams so we can learn from them. We know how we do it, but there's always, and I don't care how big your team is. I don't care how old your team is. You guys can be together 10 years. You may come across a team like me, and I'm doing something totally different. And you're like, damn, that's kind of cool. I never thought of that. Well, that's exactly what this whole thing is. It's sharing the community.
Yep.
And you guys say that every single day when I read your posts.
Yeah.
It's very cool the way you guys do things. And then you also have another slot in here called attachments. Now, if for those people who want to check out other things that are tied to Get Haunted, well, we have stuff like the Paranormally Blonde Show. You have stuff on here for the Pine Bush UFO and Paranormal Museum. You advertise a lot of other different things here. So it's really cool that you also do that on the page. Like you even have on here the Missouri State Penitentiary. Yep. So there's a lot of things on here that you introduced other people to get involved with and go out and look at and everything else. It's not just, and that's what I appreciate so much about you guys, is it's not just get haunted, get haunted, get haunted, get haunted.
Yeah. It's about the community. It's about the network. It's about helping these locations, getting their name out. There's so many smaller locations out there. Yeah. Just like Whitehill, when we first started, we didn't have a big draw for the paranormal, but over time, people sharing, and this is another reason for the network and get on the pages, get on the Facebook pages, promote your locations, get people out there to help these locations. Because if the paranormal field doesn't go to these locations, a lot of the times there's not a lot of funding through the historical preservation. There is some, but it's difficult. And the paranormal keeps the doors open and keeps these historical locations open for years to come. So it's super important.
Yeah. And that's what's, so for those people who don't know, I have you on my show. I had a couple other people on my show from Get On, but guess what? You also let me advertise. You also let me put my advertisement of my show out on your guys' page. Mm-hmm. And it's great because that way I'm getting recognized by your members, but you're also getting recognized by my members. And like, oh, Tom had on a guy from Get Haunted named Kyle. Yep. He was very informative. Not only do I want to know about Get Haunted, but now I'm going to go find out about Whitehill Mansion as well. So,
exactly. It's the whole
magic.
Perfect.
All right. So we have covered White Hill Mansion, we have covered. Get haunted. Now, let's get to you.
Oh boy.
When you go on it, first question is going to be the standard question starting off, but don't think it's going to stay that way. Sorry. Thank you very much, Cheryl. I was actually out in Hawaii, and I went on a walking trail with a guy that owns the Hawaiian Hauntings out there on
Cool.
Judd Trail, and we had a very energetic night. I was able to see a lot of the warriors from.
Oh yeah, really?
His actual warrior army that was out there and everything else, and King Kamehameha actually reached out to me himself, and there was this one location we were at, and Joe's like, I'm not familiar with this place. And I'm like, this rock right here, and it looked like it was a seat. It looked like it was meant for storytelling. And I go, he's telling me, because that's what Joe does. He storytells at this location. I said, he's telling me to tell you to sit here when you tell your stories, because this is where their elders would sit to tell stories about their history and everything else. And Joe sat there and told the story, and we recorded it. It was pretty good.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was very energetic. There's a lot of different energies around there. But for you, White Hill Mansion is not the only place you investigate. You go to a lot of other places. First question, which is your standard everyday blah, blah, blah question. What's your favorite piece of equipment?
My favorite piece of equipment, hands down, is a digital recorder. It's just the way I roll. And it's really weird because I just use, a lot of people use different recorders.
Yep.
Like Rob is really good with the DR60, the older Panasonic recorder.
Yep.
I use, my first recorder I ever bought was a Sony IC, $40 recorder,
Right.
just your basic digital recorder.
Yep.
And I've gotten some of the most incredible Class A EVPs with that recorder. So that really does it for me, because when I'm in a location and I know there's no one else talking, there's no contamination, and I get a voice answering a question, or just a clear voice that isn't, that for me is some of the best evidence, if you will, there is, because it's a voice from nowhere. It's truly incredible. And it's interesting because that one Sony IC recorder that I bought 2 or 3 other ones, same exact models. They don't get as many results as the first one. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's, I don't know, but that's my go-to piece of equipment would be the recorder.
So let's flip that on the other end. If you're like, man, there is one piece of equipment I do not trust, or I just don't like, what is it?
So it's not that I don't trust it. It's a love-hate relationship with the Ovilus.
Oh yeah.
So there's 90% of the time, at least for me, this is my opinion and my experiences with it. 90% of the time, it's not really accurate. But there's 10% of the time where I've had it go off and it's right coinciding with what's happening. So and I'm like, okay, well maybe there is something to it, but then it takes another 3 months for it to get a good answer again. So it's it's one of them things that I like to bring it out. I'm like, then I'm like, I don't know if I should use this because it's going to annoy me. But then sometimes you get the craziest evidence. So I'd have to say that the Ovilus.
How do you feel about the SLS?
So the SLS again is tricky. I do like when people put it on a tripod and keep it stationary.
Right. But when they walk around with it and you're like,
it becomes very tricky. And I think you have to take in your environment when you use them. Like if you have a lot of straight edges in your screen, you could potentially pick up stick figures from that. But again, it's kind of like the Ovilus for me. I don't use it a lot, but I've seen it a couple times, especially at White Hill, where at White Hill there's a speakeasy from 1922 still in the basement. And they had it on a tripod sitting there, and they asked a spirit to come sit at the bar, and there's a chair there that wasn't mapping, so it wasn't giving a false reading. And then all of a sudden there's a stick figure sitting there, and they asked if they wanted a drink, and they put a glass in front of them, and the arm reached out for the glass. So that was a pretty cool one. But we
had one where we were sitting down, we were up in an attic, and we were focused on a couch, and just an old love seat, beat up, everything else, and nothing mapped in, and all of a sudden a person mapped into it, And as we're still watching it, we're talking to that person, and we said something else, and another person came in and sat right down next to him. So
Yeah.
it was pretty cool. So we're like, oh, all right, that's pretty awesome.
But
How,
I do love the SLS started out pretty basic, right? But
oh
now
yeah,
you see it, they're putting LiDAR in it and all kinds of different stuff. So it's like everything else in the paranormal.
right.
Everything's evolving. It's all experiments. It's trying things. It's improving. It's seeing what works. So who knows? 10 years from now, it could be a ghost detector for all we know, right?
Speaking of evolving,
Yeah.
two-part question, and I'm just going to
Okay.
throw them both at you at once. Um, Phone apps, and do you think they can ever evolve enough to actually be legit?
I think they could. Um, there's a few out there, kind of like a Ovilus app,
Right.
that work pretty good in my opinion, probably on the same lines as the Ovilus, but I think it's important that you have to know to put your phone in airplane mode, because
Right.
that's the only way to eliminate any kind of exterior stuff. But I mean, it's an electronic device. I mean, people have done, especially at Whitehill, people have pulled out their iPhones and done recordings with them and
Yeah.
got great EVPs. So, I mean, I think eventually, as long as you can keep the all the other stuff that's on the phones, eliminate that and just use the app, I think it potentially could be another great piece of equipment.
Yeah. With all the places you've gone, I know someone's going to ask this question, so I'll answer it before my wife does. Of all the places you've gone, what's your favorite?
That's such a tough one because every location is different. I feel like it's too easy, but I would have to say Whitehill for me. I've had some pretty crazy experiences that left me really going, wow,
Yeah.
there's really something to this. But I mean, it's tough because there's so many locations out there and they're all so different. You know, you've got like another great one that I love was Rolling Hills up in New York State. Um, got great EVPs there, but that's a totally different environment than, let's say, a haunted mansion.
Right.
So, but I would have to say my hands down would probably be Whitehill.
Well, you're close enough. I want to know how you feel about Gettysburg.
Gettysburg, believe it or not, I've been there a bajillion times. I have yet to really ghost hunt there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the
Huh.
only place closest I've ghost hunted is Cashtown Inn, which is the next town over, basically from Gettysburg.
Right.
But I've never actually investigated in Gettysburg. All the times I've been there, I've never actually investigated. But that's another location where, as soon as you drive into the area, you can kind of, I don't know, you can just feel it.
Yeah.
It just has that.
Energy shift.
Yes, it's an awesome location.
Yeah. What about a bucket list place? Where's that one place you're like, God, I have not been there yet, but I really want to go there?
I really am interested in doing the Queen Mary.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's up there. It's one of those locations that I think would be so cool to investigate. It's kind of like a unique one.
Yeah.
So I think that would be on my bucket list. And I
Yeah.
think another one would probably be somewhere over in Europe, especially maybe like Transylvania,
Yep.
somewhere over there, somewhere like really old. Because here in the United States, like there's stuff old, right? But
not.
we're talking,
Yeah.
like really old out there. And like Dracula's Castle, I think would be an awesome place to investigate.
Yep. Yeah.
So
There's a lot of places in Ireland that I think I'd like to investigate.
True. Yeah.
That's just really old country there that I would want. And of course me, I want to investigate a lot of. Well, I'm Native American and Norse, so I'm kind of
man.
I'm kind of both sides. So yeah, my wife is saying that she wished that I had my abilities when we were in Rome. We were in Rome a few years ago, but I only had my awakening about a year and a half ago.
Oh,
So
okay.
I did not have my abilities then, so I would not have known what was going on at the time. You know, I just didn't. But now it would have been interesting.
Yeah.
On your team, thanks, Nick. People with abilities. Are you all just investigators, or do you actually have the different levels of people who are like, yep, I can see him, I can hear him, or
So I don't think we have any like psychics or whatever. My opinion on it is I think everyone is sensitive.
right.
I think people are just sensitive on different levels, right?
Everyone's
That's
intuitive.
how that's how I go. Like sometimes I can feel something, but somebody else might see something or maybe not feel it as much. So I think everyone has their little niche in our on our little group there. I don't think we have anyone who's like super psychic that I know of. Um, but yeah, I think people, you can tell and what's really cool for me is when you see different people investigating together. I don't know if it's like their energies work together. Like you'll be like, okay, these two people are investigating, they're getting crazy activity, but then we throw this other person in there, and then we're getting something else. So it's really kind of cool. And even with the guests when we're on events, it's really cool to see the blending of energies and what happens. So
Yeah. Nikki says that she's very intrigued by Bree with the Chattergeist she bought. Have you seen this newer device in action?
yes, I actually. Well, I didn't see it. I heard it. We were at Palmyra Historical Society, which is another amazing location up in New York. It's a really cool location. It's a couple buildings that are to the time period. The one they turned into a museum for the local area, but the other one is a general store. And the guy, when in 1940, he just left and left everything in the general store. So you walk in, it's like a time capsule.
Wow.
But Bree brought the Chattergeist there, and she was asking questions and she was getting direct responses on the device
Cool.
that correlated with history that happened there. So it was pretty cool. I didn't actually see it because she was in the other room, but I did hear the responses.
Right.
But yeah, that's a cool device. It's something new, and that's why I always like when something new comes out.
Right.
I always want to try it. I want to see how it works, what results it gets.
Yeah, Nikki's been researching the heck out of that one, and she's supposed to be watching Bree use it and giving her feedback on it and everything else. So I get the feeling we're going to end up with one of those here shortly.
Yeah, it seemed pretty cool.
Yeah, and when you see everything it does, if anyone hasn't seen these yet, the Chattergeist, if you go out and research them, and you see compared to what other devices there are, and see what this checks the boxes on compared to what they do. It seems like it does quite a bit.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. It's not even close to an Ovilus, but it's the closest thing I can even describe it to. It's like an Ovilus on steroids, I guess you could say.
Yeah, because the Shannon Ovilus has like 4,000 words, but this has like 17,000.
Yeah, it's
something like that. Yeah,
it's great, and it's tiny. It's really small.
Really small. Yeah.
If you get one, don't lose it, Tom.
I'd have to give it to my wife. Say, here, hold this. You're responsible for this.
Let her keep track of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Any place you've gone to when you're just like, I'm not coming back here? No. Couldn't pay me enough.
I went to the Conjuring House twice. Okay. The first time I went there, I was like, this is boring. Nothing's happening. And we actually left early. And then I checked my recordings, and the craziest Class A EVPs I've ever caught. And I was like, oh my God, we got to go back. And I went back the second time, and the vibe was different for me personally. And I just was like, I don't know. I didn't want to go back after that. But I'll tell you what, I think everyone needs to go there at least once and experience it, because it's such an awesome location. I mean, that again, if you like history, that house goes back to the 1600s. Yeah. So it's a really cool location. But for me, I'm just like, eh.
But you're going back there on the 16th of September.
I won't be going there. Our other team members, Rob will be going there. So
Rosie is asking, is it true the Conjuring House happened outside? So basically the activity happens outside, not in the house.
Oh, so that's another location that is just, it's such an interesting haunt because there's so much going on there. So there are some stuff outside. People see all kinds of weird lights. They see a lot of activity outside, inside. It's one of those locations. It's such a cool location. There's so much going on there again, because I think it's kind of like White Hill in a sense, where it's always had people living there and it's been there for so long and it's seen so much that I think that energy kind of just stays.
Yeah.
So it's one of those, I call it like a supercharged paranormal location.
Yeah. Cheryl's asking, how do I find Bree?
On Facebook. Kyle God, everyone's asking me all these questions I didn't prepare for.
Well,
So if you go to, this is the easiest way to find Bree. If you go to the Get Haunted Network public page on Facebook, you will see her posts up there. She's always traveling around, and that will get you to all
yep.
of her links,
And
all
that's
of
what
her links.
and that's what Nikki said. Nikki said, I like seeing Bree's weekend paranormal trip. She goes to so many different places.
Yeah, I've never seen someone drive so much in my life. I actually tell her, I'm like, Bree, you need to let the car sit for like 15 minutes, and then you get back in it.
Oh, speaking of, there's Miss Cheryl. Cheryl's popping in to say mahalo. So she's another one who's coming in from Hawaii. So
awesome.
Like I said, we have a handful of people, by the way. Hi, Cheryl. That come in from Hawaii. When you hear my introduction, it's normally the places that I know that people are watching from. So you heard me go all the way from here to Australia to Hawaii so it's pretty interesting how many people kind of pop in. So Nikki says, hold on, she'll get it here. Get Haunted Network public page. Yeah. Yep. She'll get it. Nikki, like I said, Nikki follows Bree. She's been, and there it is. For those people who want to know it.
Perfect.
Right, and I'm putting it up here for people to look at really quick because of the fact that she's posting it onto Facebook. So anyone who's on YouTube right now or Twitch, they won't see this. So that's why I'm throwing it up there for you for a second so you can take a look at it. I would just tell you to write down that wonderfully long-ass number on the backside of it because everything else is going to be the same. Yeah. Facebook.com/groups. So
and it's real easy to search too. Get Haunted, it'll pop right up.
Yep. Just go to Get Haunted, it pops up. Yep. And you'll see, and if you want to know if you're in the right place, well, it's Get Haunted. But then you'll see that logo right on the top of Mr. Kyle's hat right there. That wonderful skull sitting there will be right there as well.
That's it.
So, so what else you got, brother? What's coming up? I mean, besides the stuff we talked about, but what's coming up with you?
Well, October is going to be hitting, and that's our busy season for White Hill. We're going to be doing a lot of tours. Like Tom said, we have all kinds of tours for everyone, not just the hardcore paranormal investigators. We do candlelight tours, which basically we give you more of the haunting history, a little bit of history, more of the hauntings, and we take you through, and it's about an hour and a half, and in a couple rooms, the hot spots, will actually give you kind of like a ghost hunting 101. So if you just want to dip your toes in a little bit, see what it's about before you jump into a 5-hour investigation or an 8-hour investigation, it's the perfect thing. And it's a really cool location. Who doesn't like a haunted house in October?
Oh, exactly. Exactly. Then you got everything starting to open up.
Yep.
Because you're in October.
Yep. So that'll be our busy season. It's great. I love when all the people come out and get excited about the paranormal, especially we get a lot of, younger kids, not too young, but it's just a fun time. And for me, it's all about saving the locations and so spreading that history.
I'm going to put you on the spot here for a second.
Again.
All
right.
First off, Cheryl says, I love the stories, but you will never get me out there. You'll never get me out there. This is putting you specifically on the spot.
Okay.
You are one of the folks who give the tours.
Yeah.
Do you have set days and for people who may want to come and listen to you give the tour?
Oh, man. I do not, but I will be there most of our fall season.
Okay.
But I'll put it this way. If I'm not at a Get Haunted event, I'll be at White Hill.
Okay. Fair enough.
That's usually how it works. So I'm there pretty regularly. And I mean, if you really want to come on a tour with me, shoot White Hill an email right on their website, and we'll see what we can work out.
Speaking of,
very accommodating.
You want to know how to see where they're going to be at? What is going to be at Get Haunted or at White Hill? Go here.
There you go.
You can check out all the stuff at gethaunted.com. There you're going to be able to see all the dates and times and locations they're going to be at. And you can go out to the White Hill Mansion and check out everything out there. Remember, White Hill Mansion is a historical landmark, folks.
Yep.
Want to check out something cool? You want to see some cool history? I'm already on the website and I've read about it. And he even told me this is just an inkling of what actually happened for history. So if you're like me, you're interested in history, a lot of people just tell you I'm a nerd. Then yes, I read about it and I'm like, ooh, I want to know more. So Unfortunately, I will not be flying to New Jersey to come see Kyle for the White Hill Mansion trip. Because remember, he is out in New Jersey, folks. For those of you who are in the surrounding area, I would advise you to go. But that does not mean that I will not reach out to Kyle and ask more information. But, yep, and see my wife once again selling me out. Yep, nerd.
It's okay. We're both history nerds, Tom. It's okay.
It's very typical of my wife to agree with me on the things that, stuff like that. Well, Kyle, I think that's a good spot. We went about an hour. I don't know how much more we can cover, brother. Not in this amount of time.
No, we covered a lot.
Rosie wants to know, do you have a podcast or do your videos on YouTube?
I do not. Primarily, I'm on Facebook. So you can find me right on Facebook.
Yep.
Kyle Mangus. That's where I put most of my stuff.
Yep. I have that open too right now. So.
Yep. All my links are there. I don't really have a podcast yet. Maybe I should. I don't know. Maybe this is a thing.
Maybe that. You know what? Maybe you should do a touring podcast.
There we go.
Do the podcast as you walk through.
That might not be a bad idea. Maybe I'll go live or something one day.
Yep. Maybe that's the way to go and see. Just put the feelers out there.
Yeah.
So I will tell you, though, if you go out to Kyle's page and you're interested in anything like that, and you scroll down, you will find his, that one right there. His TikToks, his whitehillmansion.org site, his Get Haunted, and
I think Instagram's on there too.
Instagram. That's what I was drawing a blank on. Yeah. On Instagram. So you have Kyle.GetHaunted and you have Get Haunted socials. So all of those are listed on Kyle's page. If you want to know even more, you can go out there and check out Kyle Get Haunted White Hill. For those people who do not remember, this has been posted in the comments next to that man there. So whether you're watching it live or whether you're going to come on and watch it later on as a recording, which I appreciate you all doing as well, go to these sites, like, follow, share. Let other people know about them. Get Haunted is fantastic. They have a huge following. White Hill Mansion, I'm sorry, Get Haunted, but White Hill Mansion to me is also a bigger deal because it is all volunteer. Everything there is done through what you do for that community, for White Hill Mansion. So, like, follow, share. Share with everybody else. Let them know what's going on. Keep that going, and then tell them to go out there and learn the history and go out there and learn the haunted side of it, because at one point or the other, they're probably going to overlap and want to do both.
They sure are.
So, all right. Well, I think I've done as much damage as I can for one night.
No, you did good. You did good, Tom.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Problem.
Do me a favor. Stay around in the back area.
Yep.
I'm going to shut it down, and I will be right back with you. Other than that, thank you for coming on. I greatly appreciate it. And I'll make sure everyone keeps us up, and I will be talking to you here in a second.
All right. Thank you, Tom.
Thanks, brother. All right, everyone. That's the show for tonight. Thank you for showing up on a special night, Thursday night, to hang out with Kyle from Get Haunted and from White Hill Mansion. It was a really good show. I appreciate him coming on, spending his hard-earned time with us. Next Monday, I do have a show. I have on Erin Bush. Speaking of Conjuring House, she's one of those that kind of considers that her second home. She's one of Andrea. She is Andrea Perron's kind of handler. Keeps her schedule for her, keeps her books for her, stuff like that. Keeps an eye on her. Make sure all goes well. She was just actually out at the Conjuring House not too long ago for like a 10-day trip, taking care of it. So she will be on Monday. Feel free to come out. Check that out. Monday, 7 p.m. If you want to know where I'm at, right here. Stuff I Never Learned from a Schoolbook on Twitch. Stuff I Never Learned, and on YouTube at Stuff I Never Learned. Feel free to come out, like, follow, share, keep growing the community. Let's get more people involved in this. Also, remember to keep Maui in your prayers and in your pocketbooks. They're still needing help. Feel free to help out any way, shape, or form you can. That means a lot to me. Please keep them in your prayers as well. Other than that, everyone have a great weekend. Much love, and I will see you on Monday night.